And I think for those who, like me, I love content marketing. Do you know what I mean? I would do it even if it didn't generate sales because I just love writing and I love sharing stupid memes and I love all of it. So I would be on social media every day, even if I wasn't selling anything.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people aren't that person.
Yeah.
They find it really hard to come up with content ideas. And for those people, especially, ads are a win, an absolute win.
Stop and don't spend another single cent on advertising until you listen to this. I'm Marianne Amies. This is Ready, Set, Paid Ads, digital marketing for paid ad success. Let's go. Welcome back to Ready, Set, Paid Ads. I am super excited to be joined by Kate Toon today. Hi, Kate.
Woo-hoo. Hello, good to be here. Thank you.
Can you kick off by, someone who needs no introduction, but telling everybody about you?
So yes, I am a business mentor and digital marketing coach this week. That's what I'm calling myself. So I've been working in the digital marketing space for a very, very long time. And in the last 7 or 8 years, moving into passive income courses, memberships, masterminds, digital products, written a few books, got a few podcasts, run a few events. But these days focused really on just 2 core products, which is my digital marketing membership and my SEO course and my new book.
I know. Give us a little plug for the book.
So the book is called Six Figures While You Sleep. Let me just read the title. I've forgotten. How to turn your services and skills into high profit, low effort digital products. And it's the second in a series of 3. The first one was 6 Figures in School Hours, which is all around trying to maximize your time and productivity while you have small children. And then the third one, hopefully, will be coming out in May 2026.
Oh, fantastic. That's wonderful. I think I've known you for a long time. I think we might be collectively the grandmothers of digital marketing.
The OGs.
And I think you've definitely, had that test of time and seen so much. So I think that, I know those books will be full of really practical, great value for people.
Thank you very much.
Hey, look, let's dive in. I've got a simple question for you. Do you ads?
See, this is why I shouldn't have come on your podcast. I mean, look, I promote SEO, so organic content marketing. And so for a long time, it felt a little bit disingenuous and against what I'm kind of teaching if I were therefore to sell my organic marketing course using ads. Then I kind of got over myself. I've used FB ads a little bit. I found that for the course, they work best at lead generation. So the awareness, getting those early leads, and then nurturing people through email marketing to get the sale. I very rarely sold directly from ads. And with Google ads, I've never really had much success. But that is for my online business. Recently, I bought a bookshop and I'm considering doing some ads for the shop. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, amazing. And look, to that point of do you belong on this podcast? I wanted to really have conversations about building a business without ads, building a business with ads, what's worked, what's failed, what people think about them, because I don't think for every business there is one path,
No, not at all.
I'd say to a lot of people, I can't think of many businesses that couldn't benefit from ads. But you're right, SEO is the marathon, and the work that you put in SEO helps you avoid having to spend.
It does. And I'm incredibly tight. Also, I do think that running ads requires a degree of mathematical understanding and working out your ROAS and your whatever and looking at data, none of which I enjoy at all. So I don't enjoy that. So I've always had to rely on third parties to do my ads for me.
Yeah.
And it's the only aspect of my business that I use third parties for. I could design a graphic, I could code a page, I could write content. Ads is the only bit where I have to rely on others, and I don't like that. I don't like that feeling. So really, that's the reason I don't do it, because I'm unwilling to learn it myself, uninterested in learning it myself. So I kind of have to manage without ads because it's my Achilles heel. Do you know what I mean? And I think for those who, like me, I love content marketing. Do you know what I mean? I would do it even if it didn't generate sales because I just love writing and I love sharing stupid memes and I love all of it. So I would be on social media every day, even if I wasn't selling anything.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people aren't that person.
Yeah.
They find it really hard to come up with content ideas. And for those people, especially, ads are a win, an absolute win.
Yeah, that's true. I guess there's a certain shortcutting, isn't there?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's also a certain guarantee You know,
Yeah.
I live in the land of vagary. You know, you can spend a lot of time working on your SEO and your content marketing and actually get no return.
Yeah.
Whereas at least with ads, you pay your dollar, you get your return. It may not be the return you exactly want, but then you
Yeah.
can tweak and fiddle. It's data driven, it's rational. You
Yeah.
know, it makes sense. Whereas organic marketing can be a lot more on feel, you know, looking at engagement stats, but then even
Mm.
engagement doesn't necessarily lead to sale. So I think there's a much more certainty in ads. You know, you put $100 in, you know that the machine is going to generate X money out. And for a lot
Yeah.
of people, that's a lot easier to deal with than I might do a post and 6 years later that might lead to a sale. You know,
Yeah.
it's a lot harder.
Totally. And I guess, you're someone certainly that can be looked at for consistency. And I think to succeed organically, you
Mm.
have to be willing and even as you're saying, to show up when it's hard or show up when it's not working quite the way that you want. And what's that experience been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I talk about this in my book, and I call it the Britney Spears effect, which is at some point at a concert, someone will shout, "Hey, Britney, sing 'Hit Me, Baby' one more time," because that's what she's known for, and that's what she made her money for, and she might be sick of that, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's poor little Harry Potter actor will always be Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So you have to sing a song for a long time, and even when you're sick of it, like you've been talking about for me, say SEO for 6 7 years, that's when someone goes, "Oh, you do SEO." Oh, and you're like, I literally have been talking about this for so long, and that's when people notice. Whereas ads, it can be much more immediate. I
Mm.
think content marketing is a much slower game. I think it's much better at building trust and
Yeah.
relationships, and I think it makes the sale easier in the end,
Yeah.
because people aren't just seeing an ad and clicking through to your sales page. They've seen millions of pieces of content, and that's built up an impression of you. But yes, it's been hard to keep going for years and years. I mean, I've been doing this. I started with the SEO course in 2015. At the time of recording, I think it's 2024.
It
As I
is.
said before we started, it's my 29th launch.
Wow.
Most people I think would have given up by now
Yeah.
or given up somewhere along the way, and I'm still here. So
Yeah. Yeah. I started in 2010, so don't worry. I
yeah.
feel, yeah, the tenacity and I think I'm not someone that has had the, oh, I grew my business, 75% in 1 year, because I don't think I've ever had the energy, and I guess wasn't willing to sacrifice a lot of the other stuff to, devote 150% of my time. And I raised two kids and all those magical things. I've slowly, sustainably grown over a long time. But yeah, there is a huge amount of energy, and I think that determination, that tenacity, that grit, getting up when it doesn't work, staying at it when things change again. I think that is the difference between getting caught up in that shiny object and actually maybe just being really fueled passionately by what you do. Like, do you think that it's the passion that keeps you going?
No, no, no. I think largely I'm kept going by spite, if I'm honest. No, I'm joking. So I've been doing this since 2009, but I started off as a copywriter and then I
Yes.
morphed into this. So, like you, been doing this for a very, very long time. Although annoyingly for those listening, Marianne looks about 12. I look like I've been doing this for 15 years. So no, for me, look, I think I really enjoy what I do. I wouldn't say I'm passionate about it. Do I wake up in the morning and go, "Oh, I love SEO"? No, not really. Do you know what I mean? But I am persistent. And
Yeah.
I think it's what you said. It's the ability to turn up each day, regardless of how the previous day went, whether it was good or bad. I also love your point about not having like, $1 million year or whatever. I have had $1 million years.
Yeah.
In 2017 and 18, my business was going off like a box of frogs, but it did come at a cost.
Yeah.
And do not believe that these people we see grinning on Instagram, there's not a cost. Some of the people you see who are really highly successful, when you meet them in person, they're absolutely manic.
Mm.
They talk about how they organize their day in 3-minute increments. Do you know what I mean? And like, good for them if that makes them happy and if that's how they click. But I wouldn't want to do that. If that's what it takes, I don't want it. And also that, business success isn't meant to be a completely diagonal upward line.
Mm.
It's impossible. Yet that's what we're taught. You're going to have good
Yeah.
years and bad years. You're going to have peaks and troughs because you are a human. And you're
Yeah.
having years when you've got a baby, and you're having years when you're just a bit depressed, or when people die, or when you're sick, or you're moving house. And you want a business that travels with you, like an old handbag rather than like some shiny Prada, whatever. You want something that sticks around, like a good old pair of slippers. That's what I think.
And I think of it as a roller coaster. We've definitely had a year of ups and downs in the business. And, sometimes my fresh faced team of literal 20-year-olds will look at me with their big eyes and say, should we be worried? And I say, guys, it's okay. I've lived this before. It is a roller coaster. We're going down. We will come back up. We always do. And you just got to hang on really tight. I think you made a great point about, that personas on social media. And I went to an event a few months back and I met somebody who has a big persona on social media. And, not the first time, obviously, but I kind of watched her switch on and switch off from this persona. And I thought, how fucking exhausting.
That's what I find, and it's also for me so disingenuous.
Yeah.
I've met a couple of my heroes, and in person they're nothing like the person they present online, and I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we should all share our sad stories online, but it just the relentless positivity, the confetti blowing and grinning and rainbows. Yeah, it's just not admirable. And someone I'd pick who I think is a great example of not doing this is, say, Cherie Clonan. Do you know what I mean? Who is the ultimate rainbow confetti, Gorman wearing joyful beast, but she's also deeply not, and happy to admit her. And God, don't you like her so much more for it?
Oh,
it doesn't make you not want to buy her stuff or do her things. Absolutely not. I'd rather buy her thing than anybody else's, because she's, God, there's too many women, especially women, and it is women, unfortunately, trying to pretend that they have these glorious lives, that actually my life on Instagram isn't even as good as my real life. It's like, whatever. Do you know what I mean?
And I think, unfortunately, a lot of that has trickled in, wealth signaling, and I was talking to a friend this morning. I said, I'm not very good at controversial content. I have a lot of controversial thoughts, but I tend to keep them to myself. I'll tell you off camera. But I say I'm so close to putting out some content about getting hair extensions won't solve your business problems, because I just feel like that. And as women, we fought so hard to be taken seriously, and now we're trading off our looks and our lifestyle and our perfection and all these things. And it's kind of hard to watch, because it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter.
Unfortunately, I did a post, because I used to court controversy to a degree, and now I don't. I'm sick of arguing with people on the internet. It's fruitless. But I did a post the other day about shrinking entrepreneurs, with the rise of Ozempic and gastric sleeves and whatever. A lot of female entrepreneurs who were big are now smaller. I am one of them. I lost a dramatic amount of weight in 2017 through a ridiculous concoction of shakes and starvation and misery.
Hard work, it's called.
No, it wasn't hard work. It was all the wrong things. There was no gym. It was just not eating and being miserable. Do you know what I mean? So it was not healthy in any way, shape, or form. But the amount of plaudits I got when I was thin, well done, blah, 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 compared to when I was fat. Now I'm exactly the same person inside, exactly the same person, but it shouldn't matter. But unfortunately, business is a popularity contest. It is, and we don't like to admit that, and we wish it wasn't. But yeah, it's crazy. So I did a post the other day about that, and some people took it the wrong way. And I think often, people read a post and they think it's about them.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, it's not, it's a general, it's actually about, most of my posts are about myself. I'm very self-involved, but, it's not necessarily our job to raise the flag for every issue, because if you do that, then you will be the one taking the heat for it. And that can be very exhausting. Do you know what I mean? So
totally.
I don't do the controversial as much anymore to have the time.
And I guess it comes back to, attracting your tribe as well. You also have to be careful that you don't just attract people that are looking to pile on, because you're the person flying the flag and they want to pile on to that, because then I think you get stuck in those energy cycles where, and
you have to examine why some people trigger you. I've talked twice now about, grinning entrepreneurs. Why does that affect me? It's because I a little bit of me wishes I was more like that, wishes I was more positive, wishes I could put the good face on, turn on the persona, but I can't. And
Yeah.
so there's a little bit of jealousy there. And I need
Yeah.
to acknowledge that to myself, that it's, constantly kind of sort of looking at other people with a little bit of snark says a
Yeah.
little bit about you, and you got to look at your triggers. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I wish I was more grinny. I'd
Yeah.
make a lot more money if I was. Unfortunately, I can't do that.
No, I think that's really, accurate and insightful advice. And I often, see somebody that is so far ahead of me and, and I think, it's really irritating. Then I think, what is it? Oh, actually, it's envy. It's
It is
like,
envy,
wow,
yeah.
that person's doing the thing I want to do. That, they're at the stage I'm striving to be at. And you have to be able to self-reflect on that
You
and go,
do.
okay, hang on a second. Yeah, a little bit of that is that I actually want that. And that's not bad.
No, it's not bad. As long
You
as it
call
doesn't.
yourself out.
Yeah, as long as you can call yourself out and have that self-awareness. And also if you can actually go, do I really
Mm,
want that? And to
yeah.
your point that you made eloquent at the beginning, am I willing to do what
Yeah.
it takes to get that? So for example, I had a period where I was speaking on stages in like Europe
Um,
and New York, and I know that people were like, wow, it's amazing. Of course they are. People are messaging me saying
yeah.
that's amazing.
Amazing.
But to be honest, behind the scenes, it was exhausting. I went to two different countries in the space of 3 weeks. Had to leave my son at home. I got sick
Yeah.
for like weeks. I was so
Yeah.
sick before speaking at the conference in Amsterdam that I was in bed vomiting
Mm,
literally up until an hour before I spoke. But
yeah.
obviously, and I did share that because I share all my horrible
Yeah.
stuff. But it wasn't worth it. It
Yeah.
wasn't worth it. It looked good, but are
Yeah.
you really willing to do? Would you really want to be an international speaker traveling from hotel to hotel? It'd be fun for the first couple of months, and then I'm not
Yeah.
sure it would be that great.
Yeah. And unless, on your life stage, you can bring somebody with
Yeah.
you or everybody
Yeah, and
with
your
you
kids are
or,
grown up, and you can take
yeah.
2 weeks holiday in
Yeah.
between each one. But at the moment, if I want I like the idea of it, but the
Mm,
reality of it is not sustainable at this stage in my life.
yeah.
Another person I admire a lot, I feel like I'm name dropping, Susie Daphnis. So Susie Daphnis is, I would say, I hope she wouldn't mind me saying, a couple of years older than me.
Yeah.
And she runs a membership, one of the first people to start a membership. And she's always posting photos of like Greece and Italy and all these
Yeah.
amazing trips. And I'm like, oh, and I'm totally envious. And I literally send her messages saying, I hate you. Just jealous, pure jealouscy. But
Yeah.
actual joyful, that's joy, that's a kind of
Yeah.
joyful jealousy. And I think
Yeah.
that's cool. I want to
Yeah.
be her. I think she's great and I will achieve that.
Yeah.
But then there's the other side of jealousy that can be a bit like, I don't like
Yeah. I know. Well, I think there's, where you go, you're my, that's my future. I can see the future I want.
Yes.
And I do think sometimes it's also the way the person portrays it. Susie's
Yeah,
gracious. She's
she
not that
is.
kind of wealth signaling, rubbing it in.
No, she's quite
But
very humble, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think there's patience and I'll come back to ads on that point in a moment. But I do think there's a patience, and
Mm.
I started my business with a newborn and, grew it through having a second baby. And for the first 2 to 3 years, I couldn't get out and do the things. I
No.
couldn't go to the events. I couldn't, be away for 2 weeks. But I remember thinking it won't always be like this.
Mm.
I have to just grow this as I can. And I think it's, taking that time to be realistic about what you want. And as we said, what you're willing to give up to get it. And I think in some ways, that's where ads come in, is that ads can sometimes fuel.
Great segue to ads there. Did you see what
you.
she did there? That was really smooth. Okay, sorry.
I need that sound effect cut in.
Yeah.
I think like I know when clients come to us, sometimes ads is the desperation point.
Mm.
It's, things aren't going well. Can I run some ads? Can I fix it? I'm on the brink. I'm at the edge and, or I need results. Can we turn some ads on? And I think, that can kind of be the toxicity of trusting that ads can do it all for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, yeah. And I still, it's funny because I've written ads for many people. I'm a
Yes.
conversion copywriter. But again, the style of copy in ads can be almost on the side of ick, as well. That conversion copywriter that's like FOMO driven and, limit, and false scarcity and all of that. So it's an interesting one. But I find it interesting that ads is a last resort. And I think that does become because people don't like spending money. Not understanding that it's a literal return. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll happily spend money messing around on Instagram, posting pictures of their products, which is still time.
Yes.
Time is money. And
100%.
ads can be such a shortcut for that. You've got a friend of mine who runs Bee Bangles, and she does ads so well. And, she can look at her ROAS. I never understand what ROAS is, but her ROAS is like really good.
Yeah.
And, she's cracked it. She's cracked it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that I think I just need to accept that maybe I'll never do.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe you'll persuade me, Marianne.
Well, I was going to say, with somebody that has, number one, copywriting at their core, and then number two, a very long, intimate engagement with digital marketing that understands what type of content resonates. Yeah. I dare say that you've got the perfect skill set to create that.
Yeah, because I think it's that distinction between ads and ads. There are ads that are very salesy and very pushy, and then there's the ad that isn't really an ad. It's a piece of content marketing that is sponsored or pushed out, and that's most of the ads that do well for me. It's your advertorial in old school terms, And you'll be appalled, but I've actually, especially with the bookshop, done very well with just boosting posts. I know it works very well because no one hates a bookshop. Right? No one. So you get the followers and they stick around because it's a bookshop. You know what you're going to get. Whereas if you're an entrepreneur or someone like us, we don't really, no one loves an entrepreneur. No one really desperately loves someone selling Facebook ads or SEO. Do you know what I mean? They may follow you because you're useful, but they don't love you.
Like the dentist. It's like you need it. You don't really spend the money on it.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's the other thing for me. I've always striven or stroved to build a personal connection, a personal brand, regardless of the products I'm selling. I've gone from being a copywriter, having a copywriting membership, to having SEO, to now being a digital marketer, to now really more focusing on being an author and a mentor. And it's people have allowed me to have all those transitions because they're related to me, the person, not me, my products. And I think that can be a hard get for people with ads as well. That you don't necessarily need to just sell the product. You can sell the person.
And that's a longer engagement. One ad doesn't convince me that you're someone I want to engage with. It's understanding the nuances of you and the journey of you. And again, when you are so authentic like you are, letting people in that way, they can build much deeper relationships over time.
Yeah, but I think you would find that, as you said, people come to you going, oh, do some ads. I want to do some ads. I want to sell stuff. And you're like, yeah, well, actually, though, we're going to have to do an awareness piece. And that's going to move to this. And we're going to have to let Facebook learn. We're going to have to get Google learn. The algorithm's we're going to have to try it different. And people are like, oh, my God, really? It's going to take as long as my content marketing. And it's like, yeah, it's just a different channel. It's 100%. Still time involved,
And one of the great points that I'm going to be pushing through this podcast is it's not even just your ads that will make your ads go well. And you've touched on this in different points as well. I see it as the whole ecosystem. Great ads, shit website, not going to work. Yeah. Great ads, shit Instagram profile, not going to work. Everything actually has to. Good email. You mentioned emails right at the top. That ad, if it's not selling to me today, it should be putting me into a great email funnel. So the ad alone is not going to seal the deal for you. The ad is one part of that whole ecosystem. And there's so many different pieces of that puzzle that need to unify and work for you to have the success.
Well, this is it. It's yellow car syndrome. You only see a yellow car and then suddenly you see yellow cars everywhere. So often what will happen is you'll see an ad because this, someone else is engaged with that ad, a friend of a friend, the whole Facebook's listening to everything we do. And then all of a sudden you'll never have heard of this person, and then they're everywhere. Yeah. They're on your podcast, their blogs are coming to you. Suddenly you're on there, it's like all of a sudden. But that is when you've reached critical mass. And often that can take years to get to that point where it feels like someone's everywhere. Yeah. Because you've had to be everywhere for a while for that to work. And I think, ads and SEO, for example, are not conflicting. They are absolutely linked. But it can be overwhelming for people to really think about that ecosystem and take that helicopter view of all of this is impacting everything. Yeah. So people go, oh, just put me up an ad. Just whack up an ad, Marianne. Go on. And think that that's going to solve everything.
Yeah. And you're so right about, SEO and ads actually work. Everything works together because we're not linear in the way that people want us to be linear. I don't click the ad and buy. Maybe I click the ad and I'm on my lunch break, and then my lunch break finishes, and then at 9:30 at night when I'm watching TV, I go, oh my God, what were those shoes I saw today? And then I Google it and the SEO works and I pick it up via SEO, or, I did sign up for the newsletter, and an email 3 weeks later gets me over the line. So the journey is rarely first click to check out.
No, I mean, I've literally just had someone buy my SEO course this round. We're talking, about how it's getting harder to sell such things. And she was like, I saw you at Pro Blogger in 2015.
Oh, Lord.
And so it's now 9 years later, because we also have to remember that just because we're serving our ad, the person needs to be in the right mindset, have the money, and have the time and the inclination. All those 4 elements need to come together, and your ad may not hit them at the right spot, and so content marketing and everything else is kind of keeping the just that bubbling away, that ember of remembrance is still bubbling away. And then when the ad hits next time, shebang, I'm ready to go. Because the thing I found with ads as well, my poor ad person, I think she sort of fired, we fired each other. She fired me in the end, because I'd be like, there's an analogy. I'm sure you've heard this analogy before. Can I tell my little analogy? I'll do it quite quickly, but it's not mine. It's Rand Fishkin's, and it's the pizza parlor. They send out 2 guys, one with a blue flyer and one with a green flyer, to promote the pizza parlor. But then when they come back, only the blue flyers are coming back. Like the green flyers, it's once in a while, maybe once a month, they get a green flyer person. And they're like, we don't understand this. And so one day they go out and follow the blue flyer person, and they realize what he's doing is he's standing around the corner from the pizza restaurant, watching people just as they're about to walk through the door and handing them a blue flyer. And that's the way I sometimes feel about Facebook ads. Like, they were gonna buy anyway, but you take the credit, Facebook. You take the credit. They've been on my list for 6 years. They've seen every they've listened to my book, but the freaking click was from you, so you take the credit. Drives me crazy.
That's true. And in a case like yours, and again, a lot of where somebody's really built the community first, that ad is not likely the first time. That ad is likely the last time, the tipping point, the
tipping point. But you still got the sale. So I really do need to shut up, because you still do get the sale, right? Whatever it takes, you get the sale. I guess I just resent giving money to the Zuck. So, that's why I resist it. But yeah, it's interesting.
Is it because you're secretly jealous of the Zuck for me?
There is absolutely nothing I'm jealous about for him. I don't want him to hear this, though, because suddenly my Facebook account will disappear.
We do not want to be careful.
Edit that out.
It's not the first time he's come up on the podcast.
I'm sure.
No, I think that's it is right. And the thing I sort of talk about with clients is, if you're not bread and milk, you're not needed every day.
Yeah.
So all we're trying to do is plant the seed, stay in that Rolodex of someone's brain. Rolodex, as if anybody knows.
You're so 1972.
As if anyone knows what that is. Stay in the notes.
In the Filofax of your brain.
Stay in the notes app of your brain for that day when you're like, shit, my SEO's crap. I'm so sick of this. We don't rank. Oh, that's right. Kate Toon's SEO course. I know that,
But I do that even with e-commerce brands, though. Like, I'm on Instagram and I see like a swimming costume and I'm like, I don't want to get it yet. But I might even like that post so that they keep serving me ads, even though it's slightly annoying. Because I know that at some point I'll want it. And because we see so many adverts and so many things, sometimes it is a brand you want and you just can't remember the name.
Yes.
And so one of the things I think is so important, you've mentioned it, is to get the email address, get on their list, because I call it, it's not spam. I call it, it's not bacon, because a lot of people like bacon, but there are emails that I get from suppliers that I don't read. I just delete, but I don't unsubscribe, because I know one day I will want to buy from them and I won't be able to remember them.
Correct. So, I say it with printer cartridges. I delete that email, never open it. But when the printer runs out of ink, I go to my deleted.
That's it. I've got the same with a notepad printing company. Delete it immediately, but I always can find it when I need it. Right. So, yeah.
And that is, I guess, all these little, it's like breadcrumbing, right? All these little breadcrumbs that we have to put out just so that we are in the realm when someone comes to buy. And you're so right, getting that brand of, I'm like that with restaurants. I go to a decent amount of dinners with friends and go to nice places. And then when someone says to me, where should we go? I'm like, I know nowhere.
Yeah.
I know nowhere. I know nothing. And it's like not till like I'm walking down, the street going to some average place I've picked and I see the fabulous place I've been before. And I'm like, why
How
couldn't I
did I
remember
forget
that?
that?
But
That's why I leave
there's no
Google.
journey.
It is a journey. I leave Google reviews for everywhere that I go, so that I can follow the breadcrumbs back. And I think if the breadcrumb thing is so right, because, and listening to this, people will be like, good grief, it sounds exhausting. And it kind of is. But the thing is, it is all about breadcrumbs. It's not about the bread bun. Like it's unlikely that you're going to have this big launch one time and make $1 billion, or that something amazing is going to happen that's going to change your business. It is just a slow, relentless dropping of breadcrumbs and letting people pick them up. And over time, the breadcrumbs add up more than the bread bun, if that makes sense.
Oh,
I don't know what I'm talking about. Bread buns, you know.
I know.
What I mean.
I'm feeling like, should we go to Bunnings? Is it time
Yeah, I don't know. Do you call them bread buns in Australia? You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It made perfect sense. But yeah,
Okay,
you're right. And I think it's like anything. What is that thing from back in uni? The something is more than the sum of its parts.
Yeah. Some of the hypotenuse is more than the side of the elephant thing.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly.
Yeah.
But that, it's no one thing that you do that's going to crack it. It's all those things together that are worth more than all the individual pieces that you do.
It is. I mean, I constantly get asked, what do you think was the biggest thing in your business? What was the thing that changed your business the most? And I do have an answer. Shall I share it?
Oh, please.
For me, the biggest thing was getting out there, which I hate people saying. But like you, for the first 7, 8 years of my business, I went to nothing. I did nothing. I never left the house. And then, as I said, in about 2016, 15, 16, I started going to events. And then I started, wishing I could speak at events. They wouldn't have me. So I ran my own events. And that was the year that my revenue went up by 200%, and I've actually in my new book written out every year of revenue since I started, and all my expenses and my profit margin, because no one is honest about that.
That is so huge.
Yeah, but like people making $1 million, but they spent $900,000 on Facebook ads to make that. So you could have made more at Willie's checkout. Do you know what I mean? So, but that year when I got out and I, shook babies and kissed hands, I think that's the expression, that was the year that made all the difference. And it's not what people want to hear, because people were like, can't I just sit in my pants at home and put Instagram memes up and make millions? It's like, no, are you willing to do what needs to be done, whether it's Facebook ads and putting a lot of money into them. I know a lot of people who've been highly successful by just putting the money in and getting the money out, or speaking or podcast or whatever. It's you gotta put the effort in to get the effort out.
I think that's huge. And I think that is the timeless advice. And I can't agree more. If you and we experienced it in that real life way, a decade ago, but now it's in that social media way. If you're not willing to be the face of your small business, you will have to spend a lot of money either making other people talk for you or through ads, to cut through and succeed. I just was on a mentoring roundtable for a Uni New South Wales program. I spoke to about 8 different people that are early stage idea, and every single person, I'm like, are you willing to be the face of your business? Are you willing to own this community? Are you willing to put yourself out there? And if the answer is no, it's kind of like, well, that's going to limit the free marketing opportunities that you have.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. Like, you can still achieve things. You just made it 10 times harder for yourself. 10 times harder for yourself.
Either 10 times slower or 10 times more expensive. You choose.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think it's the benefit of, obviously, being around the block many times to know that. But it people want you. And I, again, coming back to ads, I think, look at that. I think we've seen that actually in the ad dynamic of the last 6 to 12 months is the contrived, overly planned brand campaign, even ads, are not performing anywhere near the organic, real, messy bun face to camera, imperfect graphic, imperfect video. All these videos now where someone's like scrunching up a piece of paper or dropping a post-it note, like all these sorts of rough and ready concepts are performing. And I think that's part of that next stage of just wanting to see the real, not wanting to see the contrived.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. The real, I think there can be contrived realness.
Of course.
Like
100%.
I think a lot of people are like this. I'm so authentic. Look at me being authentic. Oh, I spilled some coffee on my top, but just perfectly, just here. Oh, I'm so crazy. I hate that as well. But I also think what's really missing a lot in ad space is a bit of humor. Not necessarily slap your thigh hilarious, but a bit of knowingness and a bit of snark and a bit of sarcasm and a bit of fun, and not taking yourself so seriously. Because I think this idea that we have to be super professional and held together well, and we need to be organized and sensible and unflappable for someone to want to invest in us. But I just think if people are more willing to just be a bit playful, we're also bored, we're also sick of all of this. Do you know what I mean? Like, just make me laugh. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of room for humor in ads as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. And again, I think it gets back to that, I don't know, feeling or constraint or, oh, it's an ad, I'm paying for this. It has to be polished.
Has to be, yes.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it would actually be a lot better if you were self-deprecating, if you just had a good time with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, didn't take it so seriously, didn't invest so much emotionally into it, and also understood that it's also throwaway. Like, it'll slip down the feed unless you use Marianne, and then she'll keep you at the top of the feed. It will, that's the great thing about social media and content marketing, is it slips away. It's gone. I mean, obviously things are on the internet forever, so be careful. But it's not about the single post, just as it's not about the single ad. It's about the collective and the relentlessness. You just wear people down to like, oh God, I'll buy your course for the love of God. Stop. Make it stop. Please tag me that I bought this so that I never get tagged. Segment me for the love of God. So yeah, that's what I do. Just break people's spirits, and then eventually they buy from you.
Eventually they'll pay anything to make it.
Exactly.
Brilliant. I'm going to get that put as the, as the byline.
Hashtag make it stop.
Oh, amazing, Kate. I knew I would have such a fun time chatting to you. And I love that your ads is anti-ads. And, I think it's great that you can still see the value, but, wow, for building something so successful without it. And, and as I said, I think the key takeaways are the consistency, are the grit, and are the authenticity. And I think nothing can really beat that.
No. And I think, I'm a digital marketer. So what works for me and my personality is about, what personally works for me. If I just said that that's the way for everybody, it'd be very flawed. Facebook ads are amazing. Google ads are amazing. I see business absolutely going off on them. And so I would never say they don't work. For me, I don't like them. Yeah. And it's not really even that rational, Marianne. It's just that I don't want to do them. So I think it's really important not to close doors for other people and be out there going, oh, they're rubbish, I hate them, because it's just your personal experience. So salute the Facebook ads, salute the Google ads. We have to give these evil conglomerates our money, but at least we're making some money back in return.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time. And where should people best connect with you?
If we Google Kate Toon, one would hope after all this talk that I pop up.
Organically too.
Organically.
Thanks, Kate. That's a wrap on another episode of Ready, Set, Paid Ads. If you're looking for done-for-you services, training to upskill you in ads management, or free and paid resources to help you plan and execute better ads, head to wiseupmarketing.com.au. If you've loved this episode, be sure to subscribe for future episodes. And if you know someone that would love this podcast too, go on and share it.